Hey kiddies, it's Triple Feature Tuesday, and this week we're going to do an all-day event. I'm sure everybody out there smells as good as I smell at this point in your quarantine. And so this week I thought we'd try something a little bit different. The idea of an all-day movie marathon in which, you just keep going from movie to movie where the end of the first movie mirrors the beginning of the next movie, and there's no other connection outside of that. Hopefully, a bit more of the thematic connection to all the different movies, but I'm not even certain that's going to be required as, we try more of these as the, everything keeps going on and on and on. So, this week, our menu is going to include Raiders of the Lost Ark, Hellboy, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So in Raiders of the Lost Ark, we meet Indiana Jones, famed archaeologist and scumbag, as he races against much worse scumbags to find the Lost Ark of the Covenant, the actual chest that held the original 10 Commandments. And of course he does, and after a few rounds of back and forth as to who actually has it, we end up at the end of the film, which, there are going to be spoilers for this movie that is close to years old. At the end of the film, Indy's arch rival Belloc, backed by the Nazis, have taken the Ark of the Covenant to a deserted island / Nazi base. It's kind of weird that they just have like this one little base, which seems to be all decked out in Nazi shit. So they take the Ark there to test opening it up first, because if you take the Ark of the Covenant to Hitler and it turns out to not be the Ark of the Covenant or to not work, you don't want to embarrass Adolf Hitler. He's not a nice person. Or he was. He's dead now, which is awesome. So, Indy, of course, crashes the whole party and threatens to blow everything back to God. But, he of course doesn't. And so we begin the ritual of the opening of the Ark. And as it turns out, the only thing God likes less than people looking at his stuff is Nazis. So Indy and Marion close their eyes and don't witness anything. If you're just a run-of-the-mill Nazi, you get lasered in the chest by God's divine retribution. But if you're Belloc or Tote or Colonel Wolf, I think, is the other lead Nazi, you get special treatment. So you either get melted, or in the case of Belloc, you get your whole head exploded. Fun fact for you young people, Rene Belloc is played by Paul Freeman, who is probably most well known outside of this role for playing Ivan Ooze in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I'm sorry, that was Apocalypse, played by Oscar Isaac in X-Men Apocalypse. This is Ivan Ooze. No, shit, again. Still getting them confused because they both look equally silly and bad. It just works in one type of movie and doesn't work in the other. But the important thing is that Raiders of the Lost Ark ends with the Nazis trying to perform some occult ceremony to give them untold mystical powers. And that is where Hellboy begins. Hellboy, the Guillermo del Toro adaptation of Mike Mignola's wonderful, wonderful comic book, begins with the origin of Hellboy, which is Rasputin teamed up with the Thule Occult Society, which was a group of Nazis that were trying to find mystical artifacts to, enhance Nazi power. It's essentially the same sort of outfit from Raiders of the Lost Ark, or, for more modern references, we'll go with the Red Skull's Hydra in the first Captain America film. So, they're teaming up with Rasputin this time, and Rasputin is going to open a door and let in the Ogdrahu Jihad, or the seven-headed dragon of destruction. Oh my god. It's basically Lovecraft by way of Russia, and performed for and by Nazis. It's a real mess of terrible things. But so Rasputin puts on his big light bulb gauntlet, opens up the door, and just before he's able to get the seven-headed dragon through, he is stopped thanks to good old-fashioned American ingenuity and grenades. But the door was open long enough for little adorable Hellboy to come over. And look at him. Just look at the little Hellboy. Isn't he great? And he grows up to, of course, become full-grown man Hellboy, played by Ron Perlman, and he turns out to be all-American because there is nothing more infectious than American culture and pancakes and McDonald's. He works for the U.S. government, or at the very least the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, which is probably funded by the U.S. government, even though they don't want to admit it. And Rasputin and his Nazi buddies come back, but, you know, as with the Captain America movie, the Nazi thing is sort of played down a bit, but remember, in Captain America and in Hellboy, those are fucking Nazis, and they all get their just desserts. Rasputin, when he gets his just dessert at the end, it turns out he was kind of coming over with a little bit of the old country every time he came back to life. And by old country, I mean hell. And it is, of course, a giant Lovecraftian tentacle-faced monster that Hellboy has to destroy. And it's kind of fun because the day is essentially saved. The world is not going to end. Liz is probably okay, or at the very least Rasputin didn't just up and kill her. But though a Hellboy's day is never done, and so he has to go and take them out. And he does, using the good old-fashioned American ingenuity that he learned from all of his father figures and teachers. And grenades. He holds on to grenades and gets eaten by the monster, and it explodes, and he survives because Hellboy is sort of indestructible. 'Cause America. And this is where Hellboy ends, but where Guardians of the Galaxy picks up. Because if you remember, Guardians of the Galaxy #2 starts with the Guardians having established themselves as, you know, a good go-to team for odd, horrific jobs. And they get hired by a weird, crazy space church run by an engoldened Elizabeth Debicki to stop a giant Lovecraftian monster from eating all of their batteries. Quantrex batteries or Cornex batteries. They come up with so many joke names for it. I forget what they're actually called. But all of the Guardians of the Galaxy have to destroy the big Lovecraft monster, just as Hellboy did. And just as Hellboy did, Drax even tries to, you know, kill it from the inside because the skin on the inside of the monster would be softer for some reason. It doesn't matter. It has lots of lasers and jetpacks and shooting and Groot dancing all around being adorable. So, I mean, there are thematic parallels throughout the whole thing. Like in Hellboy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, there's a lot of father figure issues between our, you know, irascible hero main characters. And also there's adorable little alien babies because there's Groot and then there's a little Hellboy. Indy would not get his father figure issues until Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And as to, you know, adorable alien baby things, if you think Shia LaBeouf is adorable, then there you go. So, again, the idea is less direct connections other than just this is like one ends and the other sort of continues the scene for some reason, creating a giant, epic 9-hour movie. Because all movies are 3 hours now, for some reason. It's annoying. It's kind of crazy that, like, probably Raiders of the Lost Ark is the shortest movie, but has the most stuff happening in it. But we'll see how many more of these beginning and ending parallels that I can come up with. Hopefully it's not just always action movies. They would be kind of fun to see if it's like just weird sci-fi or horror or even dramatic movies where it's just like, oh, and this is where this one begins. So I'll work on those, and you guys work on washing your hands and staying indoors. Talk to you later.